On the last episode of Persona 3 Reload. Hello again, everyone. Sorry for the long wait, but welcome back to Episode 4 of Persona 3 Reload. Last time we left off, we learned what the Dark Hour was. We unlocked our persona, Orpheus.
This is Tartarus,
and we've made a bunch of friends in the process. When it comes to this episode, I'm going to be doing a lot more commentary, and I'm going to be explaining some things a bit more in-depth as we go along the way, and attempting to slow things down as I kinda started rushing through this point.
Nest you were talking about?
We are currently in the Dark Hour, and we are confronting what was once our school in normal time to the Dark Hour's now twisted, tall, and terrifying Tower of Tartarus.
I'm sure it's complicated.
I'm so sorry for the amount of alliteration that was just there in that sentence. That was a complete nightmare. I am so sorry.
Take a peek. This will be our first time exploring it.
So I think from here, I'm gonna let things play out, and you can just, you know, listen to the voices, listen to the gameplay, a bit of the music, look around at the environment a bit before I start actually explaining anything. It's gonna be a little bit of time before I actually get into the deeper dive on a lot of the things that happen in this game.
Whoa. It's just as crazy on the inside.
Sure is creepy, though.
This is only the entrance. The labyrinth lies beyond the doorway at the top of these stairs.
First, you need to get a feel for the place. Why don't the three of you go have a look around?
What? By ourselves?
We're not asking you to go very far. I'll help you navigate by feeding you information from here.
We'll also need to appoint a leader to make any necessary decisions.
A leader? Like, the captain of a pirate ship? I'm in! Me! Pick me!
You're in charge.
Wait! Why him? He doesn't look like a captain!
Calm down. He has experience fighting already.
Wait, seriously?
That's true too, but the main reason is far more simple. Junpei, and you too, Takeba. Can either of you summon your persona without difficulty like he can?
Yeah, of course I can!
Me too.
These are shadows we're talking about. Without your persona, you're screwed.
I'm aware of that.
All right, let's head inside. Are you ready, leader? That's the spirit.
What's the matter?
I've been waiting for you. The time has come for you to wield your power. The tower that you are about to venture into. How did it come to be? For what purpose does it exist? Regrettably, you are not yet capable of answering these questions. That is why you must be made aware of something before you go any further. You must understand the nature of your power. Your power is unique. It is like the number 0. Empty. But at the same time, holding infinite possibilities.
So I think Igor explains it a lot better than I did in the previous episode about what the number 0 on the Fool's Major Arcana tarot card means. And I just really want you to let that like sink in, because it kind of describes our protagonist at this current moment, where we don't know a lot about what he can do, but as we go on, we're going to be able to see more of his abilities and what he can actually do, and how he stacks up with the rest of the party.
Now then, my spare time will soon be scarce. Next time, once again, may you open the door and come here of your own accord. I'll tell you then about my true role, the manner in which I can best assist you. Until we meet again, farewell.
Hey, are you all right?
Yeah,
I'll talk
what's up?
more about what the
Look like a
Velvet
zombie.
Room means and what it is at a later time, but one thing to note is that when it comes to Velvet Rooms, only the protagonist
What door?
can see and open and interact
Man,
with
are
the
you
Velvet Room
loco?
directly, as they are of the Fool Arcana. They are the major,
been nodding
like,
off?
driving
You
force
seem
under that
kinda
Arcana.
out of it.
Dude, you're supposed to be our leader. Get your head in the game.
We'll be following you. Come on, let's go.
Leader.
So anyway, welcome to Tartarus properly. This is the lobby, really the hub area. It's a very basic yet really interesting looking place, but it mainly just acts as our safe zone. No enemies can get us in here. There's access to the Velvet Room. There's access to party members to figure out which ones to swap in and out of your party. And you have access to a couple other things that will be talked about later.
All right.
I just want to say that I think Tartarus
Real deal
is
from
one of
here
my
on, huh?
favorite places in pretty much all of gaming. It's a really interesting concept to have this place that's like, it's a giant
get
tower,
lost in.
it's a dungeon, but it goes on for what feels like forever. It's completely
Can you all hear
random
me?
and changes all the time. There's blood on the floor, but you aren't sure who it
that you,
is.
senpai?
There's tile and everything,
providing
meaning that it
audio
keeps the
backup
original
from here on
roots
out.
of, you know, it
Keep
being
that
a
in mind.
school.
Wait,
But
are
I
you
love
saying
all
you
the
can see this
gears in the
place from all the way
background
out
and the
there?
references to clocks pretty much everywhere.
It's my Persona's
And
ability.
I also love that they
The
kept
structure
some
of Tartarus
aspects from the
actually
school part of
changes
it,
from day
like,
to day.
again, the tile,
I'd
and
like
also
to join
the
you up
pillars
there,
in the
but
hub
we need
area.
someone to provide
But the
outside
main
support.
part that I love about Tartarus is just the
That's
music.
even more
It's
concerning.
very, like, grim and robotic,
Now,
and it's just
based
more
on
like...
your current location, you can
It's more
expect
like it
to encounter
exists here,
enemies at any
rather
time.
than like it's the
This shouldn't be too
soundtrack,
tough,
you
but
know?
proceed with
It's
caution.
not meant to be a
get the hang
background
of
thing,
it as
it's
you
meant
go.
to literally be here. It just sounds like the normal sounds of what
Got it.
Tartarus could sound like. I know that
Why
was
is she
a
always
mouthful
like
of words
that?
to say, but that's genuinely what I believe. It feels more like an ambient thing.
Right. Let's begin. Defeat all the shadows on that floor. I'll support you as much as I can, but it's up to you to learn something out there.
So, right off the bat, I really wanted to check out my inventory and my UI to see what I actually had. I usually do this in most RPGs where I just go through my inventory and see exactly what I'm dealing with. I don't pay attention to the numbers often, as they can fluctuate, the stats, but I do pay attention to like what equipment I have and what all it does or means. I pay attention to that sort of stuff. And in a game like Persona, where you also have, you know, personas, I have to pay attention to whatever skill set they have as well. I will have a string of different lessons and little stops to describe each of the personas in detail, and how they actually correlate to the character that uses them. Or, if it's in the case of the protagonist, not many of them correlate to the protagonist at all. Pretty much none of them do, except for the starting one, Orpheus. However, I will talk about those ones in depth as well, as to give a brief little lesson on them that I can go over. I will also go over the physical weapons and the physical parts of each of the characters. So like what weapon they hold, the armors that they can equip, stuff like that. Because I feel like that actually partially ties into the character. And the other thing that partially ties into the character is the correlating major arcana that gets associated with the character. So for example, Orpheus has the Arcana family of Fool, and the Fool ties really well to Minato Arsato. I'll be going over those in details, how they connect to the actual character, and I'll be doing this a decent amount as to pretty much extend the lessons. So for a lot of these videos, I have to do a ton of research for them. And we're going to start off our whole research run with Tartarus, and what it's based on and where it gets its influences from. Tartarus is a very interesting case, where the name is just based on the Greek mythology for what would be considered all of the underworld now, but was originally the deepest part of the underworld. It's pretty interesting how that changed over time. However, the design of Tartarus is actually pretty interesting. It was influenced by a lot of the paintings done by M.C. Escher and a man named De Chirico. I have no idea if I pronounced that right, but he is an Italian artist around from World War I that created metaphysical artwork, which heavily influenced
Hold on. There's a shadow up ahead.
like the surrealist art style. This first
This is the
level
first
that
real
you saw
battle for
named
Taliban
earlier,
and Eire. Proceed with caution.
this one is called Tevel, okay? And it is based on one of the 7 Earths in Judaism. And specifically, it is meant to represent Tevel, the Earth. And this is meant to be like our world. It's meant to be, specifically it says the world, sorry. And it's actually the one that closely resembles our planet Earth. And if you notice in this like first section of Tartarus, this whole area, whenever we run through it, it is very much like running exactly through the high school corridors, which I think is a really neat note. And I would have not learned any of this stuff otherwise, because there's no way I could have known this or asked about it or any of that stuff. I just think it's really neat that I was actually able to find the exact inspiration and everything. All of this information actually comes out of the original Persona 3 source book that's entirely in Japanese. I found an old blog that had the entire thing posted and briefly explained, and it's really interesting to see something like that, because there's no way I could get my hands on something like that nowadays.
Oh yeah! How'd you like my persona ability?
Speaking of personas,
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's
that
time to
was
talk
amazing.
about the battle system and Orpheus.
Well done, Eire.
The battle
Considering it was
system
your first
works
battle,
kind of
you did
simply
well.
in terms of
Talk about
types.
two. You'll be
We have
fine.
3 kinds of
Don't be
physicals,
afraid to
being
show what you can
slashing,
do.
bludgeoning, and piercing,
Got it.
and those are all different kinds of damage there. Your magic attacks are going to be fire, ice, lightning, wind, and the last 2 have a ton of interpretations, but typically I'm going to refer to them as bless and curse, as that's the interpretation that I'm comfortable with and used to. There's also support skills in the form of healing. There's also support skills in the form of stat buffs or like stat debuffs. And then there's also a last kind, which is status effects, which has a different symbol entirely that you can't see here. Orpheus isn't exactly a great persona. He is the starting persona, so there's not really much to go into there. However, it's more about Orpheus and his connection to the protagonist. Design-wise, you can see that he has the exact same hairstyle that Minato Arisato has. And you can tell that with the giant lyre on his back, he has a connection to music, and you're right about that. Him and the protagonist have a very large connection to music, and it's meant to really speak volumes. Orpheus is a poet of Greek mythology skilled with the lyre. He tried to retrieve his wife from Hades, but she vanished when he looked upon her before reaching the surface. This is meant to be a story about, like, death and accepting death in a weird way. But it's also this, like, myth where he tries to kind of fight the natural order, and even he couldn't do it, and it really shows. Orpheus and the protagonist both being in the Fool Arcana is pretty interesting. The upright position of the Fool means innocence, new beginnings, and free spirit.
Good.
I wouldn't say
Let's
innocence
continue
applies to our main character, but instead it applies more to Orpheus. But what I would say applies more to the character and Orpheus together is new beginnings and free spirit,
Another shadow
especially
up ahead.
on free spirit.
Let's get you more accustomed
As
to combat.
this is your main character, you can kind of do anything. You
battle's
have
about-
this untapped power that you don't exactly know how to use yet,
All right. Next,
but we're
let's
just
go
starting
over a
this journey
useful
as well,
approach for
and we're
defeating
free to do
enemies.
whatever we kind of
Most
feel
enemies
like.
have an elemental affinity that they have low resistance to. Targeting weaknesses is one of the best ways to deal damage. Not only that, it can also knock enemies down. Knocking down an enemy creates an opening, letting you continue your offense.
Weaknesses, huh? Good. I'll show you how it's done.
Wait! Let me handle this one. Just point it to my head and pull the trigger. I can do this!
And with Yukari summoning her persona finally, we do have our first trio of Minato, Junpei, and Yukari, and their personas to go along with them, being Orpheus, Hermes, and Io. Every character in this game has a very specific kind of weapon they use, and I wanted to briefly cover the protagonist, Junpei, and Yukari's weapons. The protagonist's weapon is a short sword, something that's easy to handle, basic, and pretty much everyone can handle one. It's meant to be like the sort of sign like, hey, you know, you're the basic sort of protagonist, we need to give you something that everyone would be comfortable in wielding, which would be a short sword. For Junpei, we have the imitation katana, which is more like a long sword than anything, honestly. But if you notice that sort of category, it's like a bigger sword. He wields all of these weapons like baseball bats. He doesn't use any of them correctly in the proper methods at all. And it's meant to be a show of his immaturity. Finally, you have Yukari, who has a bow, which is a very weird thing to have, especially in close combat. However, the bow is actually a pretty interesting part of her character, as she is a part of the archery club, and it's also meant to be kind of a show of, like, that she is strong, as you need a bit of strength to actually use a bow, to actually be able to pull it back, and you also need a bit of accuracy in order to use it. I figure now is the good time for a double feature for the personas of Junpei and Yukari, being Hermes and Io. We're starting off with Hermes here, who is a messenger god who serves Zeus. His winged sandals allow him to fly, and he is worshipped as a god of travel and commerce. He was also known as a trickster in being able to freely cross between the mortal and godly realms. First off, let's talk about his design briefly. As you can see, he has the winged helmet that Hermes is known for, but the other thing that Hermes is known for is winged sandals. And while you don't notice it to start off, if you take a look at his design and, like, you know, do the full spin around, you're able to see that his wings are actually bolted to the back of his legs, which creates the illusion of the winged sandals. It creates the tie-in. He mainly connects to Junpei for being the trickster type, able to freely cross between mortal and godly realms. That would actually be the normal daytime and the dark hour. That could work too. And it also ties in with Hermes' specific family of personas, being the Magician. The Magician is meant to represent willpower, desire, creation, and manifestation. While creation and manifestation come in the form of, you know, making the persona, I'd say that Junpei and Hermes follow more with willpower, as they have this strong, like, urge to go forward. And Junpei falls more into the desire part of things, as he desires to be a hero. And this is Io, Yukari's persona. She is a priestess in service of the goddess Hera. When Zeus fell in love with her, he transformed her into a cow to hide her from Hera. But Hera saw through the ruse. She was rescued by Hermes and escaped across the sea to safety. As you can see with the main parts of this design, you see that this girl is sitting in this cow, like this cow's head. And it's kind of like a little bit of a cushion, really. It's like a couch. Funny joke. Anyways, you can see that she's also chained up in it. Like, there's chains, there's actually like a bit of a manacle around the ankles that are kind of locking her in. This is meant to represent Io inside the cow itself, and how it correlates to that. The connections between Yukari and Io are a little bit difficult to notice. However, Yukari is more prone to hide her femininity. And Io is a girl, like a feminine figure, trapped in a cow, which could represent how she's masking her feminine self. The Lover's Arcana that both Yukari and Io fall under, when in the upright position, it represents partnerships, duality, and union. Duality could mean Yukari's need to, like, balance out the two or mask her femininity, like try and find a way around that. But union is the big part of this, where it comes together. These two things are one. She is one person, these two traits of hers are brought together. She doesn't really have a partnership thing going on. However, Io does, in the form of being like a woman transformed into a cow, where it's a partnership between this form transformed into this, or theoretically it could be also like her original love with Zeus. But frankly, I think that's a bit loose. Mainly because Zeus is like an absolutely horrible person in pretty much every way.
Yeah.
The heck?
Yes, boxes like those seem to be scattered all throughout Tartarus. Sometimes they contain useful items.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yay! Treasure! One of the greatest things in literally any game. I love getting rewarded for exploring.
That looks like it'll be...
I guess I have a little bit of free time here to talk about how I got into Persona as a series. A friend of mine introduced me to Persona 5 whenever it came out, and we both were interested in the main character of that, Joker, being included into Smash Brothers. And it got me interested, and I tried looking around to see if I could get a copy of the game. Problem was, I didn't exactly have console money, and all of the Persona games at the time were PlayStation exclusives, so I was kind of out of luck. Until, a long time later, whenever they started releasing them on different platforms. Specifically, I bought Persona 5 Strikers on Steam. And it was a really good game, but I consider it a spin-off. I don't consider it like the true Persona game, like typical turn-based combat style. And so I decided to pick up the other copies that were out. I picked up Persona 3 Portable for Steam. I picked up Persona 4 Golden, also on Steam, and Persona 5 Royal, also on Steam. I have yet to touch Persona 3 Portable because I wanted to save it until after I was done with Reload. Mainly because I just hadn't gotten to it, and then Reload was announced, and then I just thought, I'll wait till Reload comes out. Persona 4 Golden, I've played a decent amount of it, but I feel like I need to start over as I haven't done everything the way that I want to. And for Persona 5 Royal, I've barely gone into it, but I know 99% of what happens. So it's mainly just a thing of, I should just play the game to record it.
Our all-out combo attack, you filthy shadows!
When I saw my opening, it's like my body just knew what to do.
That was magnificent teamwork. It's hard to believe it's your first time. As you grasp the flow of battle, you'll learn to coordinate with each other seamlessly. Let's apply what we've learned so far and continue exploring. I detect. Take advantage of what you just learned. I've covered the basics. I'll continue providing support, but this time, go ahead and try fighting on your own.
You, my boy, are able to possess multiple personas and summon them at will.
So, as I've slightly nodded to and mentioned before, our main character is a bit more unique, and Igor has expressly stated this. We can wield multiple personas, and we do have an inventory of personas that we have access to, that we gain over time. And I really love this feature, as that means there's more strategy in combat, as you need to know, like, which ones to pull out for defensive or offensive measures.
Your persona just now. It looks like you really do have a special power.
What to do?
The enemy's down. Let's finish this.
Let's do it. The enemy has been defeated. Excellent work.
Was that?
Well, it looks like he has the ability to summon different personas. I suspected as much after the events from the other day, but now we know for sure. All right.
Treasure chest looks different from the one before.
Yes, that particular box is sealed in a special way. The box can be unlocked by its own mechanism, but it needs something else to work during the dark hour.
What's that you got there?
I wonder... Not bad.
I think now is the perfect time to talk about the persona that we just got a bit earlier that we used in battle. This is Apsaras. It is a Hindu water spirit, and they're beautiful young women who dance for the gods. And they also guide heroes fallen in battle to paradise. They take their roots in Hindu and Buddhist culture. They were originally a type of female spirit of the clouds and waters, but they later play roles as nymphs or fairies. They're prominently seen in sculptures, dance, literature, and paintings, typically in South Asian or Southeast Asian cultures. I felt like it's good to cover these even a little, because then you know, what their names are, or, if you're interested in looking up that sort of thing. As I do find, a lot of the cultural connections very unique and very interesting. As, again, I never would have found or asked about these before, so doing my own research on them is fun, and I figure you could do your own as well. One thing that I'd like to note about Persona 3 specifically is that it uses a very different kind of tarot deck. As you can tell, Apsaras's arcana is the priestess, not high priestess. That would be the Rider-Waite tarot deck. They use the term the high priestess. However, Persona 3 actually uses the Thoth equivalent, the Thoth tarot deck. It was created by Aleister Crowley and Lady Frida Harris, and it's meant to be a little bit different, but it's still pretty much the same as a normal tarot deck, with a lot of the names actually getting slight changes. But other than that, I mean, they're pretty much the same. There is really no difference in the meanings.
Looks like you found a teleporter. Now use it to return to the entrance.
And that was our first run through Tartarus.
How was it?
It's meant to be more of a tutorial than anything to tell you how everything goes. You explore, you fight, you find treasure, and you move on to the next floor. If not, you go back down to the hub and call it a day.
Wow!
It's meant to be put into a simple system, but with the random generation of everything, it's just really enjoyable, and it makes each experience feel
you were bouncing around like
unique.
a little kid.
You say that, but you look pretty tired yourself, Yucatan.
This is different. It's like I'm having trouble breathing. What's going on?
That's the effect of the dark hour. You'll become fatigued more easily. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. I have to say, though, I'm surprised. You all did much better than I expected. At this rate, they'll catch up to you in no time, Akihiko.
We'll see about that.
All right.
Overall, I just love the flow that this game has. You go to school, you do things just relating to class, you try to get stat buffs due to your social skills, you try to increase your ranks with pretty much anyone you can find and make friends, and then you just go to Tartarus if you feel like it. And if you don't want to go to Tartarus, that's just room for more social link work. And if you don't feel like doing social link at all, you could just go straight back and go straight into Tartarus. It's completely open. On top of that, in your free time, you could just go shopping for items. You can really get everything that you need. Weapons, items, small treasures and gifts. It's pretty nice.
Yo!
That concludes the main portion of today's assembly. Next, we'll hear a word from the Student Council. Please welcome the new president, Mitsuru Kirijo, from Class 3D.
Thank you.
So she did get elected. Well, I guess she is the most popular girl in school.
You can say that again. She's got this intimidating vibe around her. Not to mention, this school's owned by the Kirijo group, right?
As I begin my term as Student Council President, I'd like to share with you my vision for this coming year. It is my firm belief that each of us must accept the responsibility of bettering our school. However, change cannot occur without sustained effort and an unprecedented level of commitment. That is why we must restructure our daily lives in order to rise to this challenge. I'd like each of you to dig deeply into your well of motivation and reevaluate your convictions. Strive to imagine a bold new future without losing sight of the realities around you. That is the key. My own ideas are but one person's vision. For us to reap the full benefits of our education, your participation, opinions, and enthusiasm are essential. Thank you.
Dang, what a speech. Do you, have any idea what she just said? Sure didn't sound like something a high schooler would say. If it was anyone else, we'd be laughing our asses off.
Okay, time for class.
So both in recording this episode, or this part of the episode, and in post-recording, where I can edit everything, I literally had to count the syllables to check and make sure that this was a haiku. I'm very particular when it comes to, like, the rules of stuff, so whenever someone says a poem, I need to make sure of, like, what kind it is, because not a lot of people state the types. So whenever this happened, I literally had to, like, sound out every syllable and keep track of everything to make sure it was a haiku. Also, this haiku belongs to no one. This was completely made up.
Yo, wanna stop by Paulonia Mall on the way back? Might wanna stock up while we can, since we got stuff going on at night. There's a pharmacy there too. Couldn't hurt to get some meds in case anything happens. You bet I am. If we don't step up to the plate, who will? The chairman said it himself. The fate of the world depends on us. Let's go, leader. First task, escape from the school.
Look! It's Sonata-senpai! Wait for us!
Have you noticed how popular Sonata-san is with the ladies? Man, take a look at that. I guess neither of us really got to know him before all this crazy stuff happened. He's a captain of the boxing team. Never lost a single match. I know that's cool and all, but who'd have thought boxing would turn you into a chick man? I mean, come on! They're fawning on him more than a harem manga. I wonder where they're going.
Hey, are you guys free this afternoon?
Huh? Us? Yeah, I mean, hell yeah! We'd love to join your little, group here. Ah, don't be lame. Even heroes need some rest now and then, you know?
Well, are you free or not?
Yeah, of course. No problemo.
I want the two of you to meet me at Paulonia Mall. You know where it is, right? I'll be waiting at the police station. Got it?
The police station? You mean we're not hanging out with your friends?
Who? These girls? No, I don't even know their names. Hearing so much chit-chat gives me a headache. Anyway, I'm going on ahead. Don't keep me waiting.
Wait! Senpai! Don't leave us!
Man, how can he not know their names? I mean, seriously, just look at them. Anyway, let's go. Yeah. pretty exciting. No. I think... By the way. Hey. Oh yeah. No.
Thank you, Kurosawa-san. I'll be taking this. Oh, these are the guys I was talking about earlier. This is Officer Kurosawa. He helps keep our squad well equipped. Oh, and here, this is from Ikutsuki-san.
Whoa, is that our warp funds? You shouldn't have.
You can't fight empty-handed, so find something you like. Kurosawa-san has connections. He can secure equipment for us. But these things still cost money.
Of course they do. Nothing in life is free.
I realize that. Well, I'll see you later. Thanks again.
I've been informed about you two. My job is to maintain peace in this city regardless of the circumstances. I'm just an ordinary police officer, but it doesn't take a genius to know something strange is going on here. I'm only doing what I think is right. Nothing more. If you need something, we can talk in the back. All right.
Baby, stay with me. You gotta tell now. I never felt like. I never felt like.
I swear, there's just one thing I love in so many RPGs. It's weapon shops. I'm gonna be real, I love weapon shops way too much.
Check it out.
I like the fact that they give you a number that just kinda doesn't make sense for the weapon that you're choosing,
What are you looking for?
or for your armor, or for any of that. And there's like a whole algorithm behind that you don't know, and you can't figure out without like looking it up or looking into it. I love the fact that they take the time to like name off the different weapons and make sure that like, hey, you know, we've got a couple weapons out, but this one's weaker, but it gives you a stat buff, and this one's just stronger, but there's no stat buff. And it was like, there's the free mixing and matching and choosing everything. I like that about weapon shops. I just love the vibe of just like going to a store, like literally just like looking through a list and just seeing what possibilities you can come up with. It's really enjoyable. I like selling the old weapons because it's just like, yeah, I don't need the one that you just sold me. I'm gonna take the new one that you put out, sell the old one, and call it a day. Like,
what do you got?
Weapon shops to me are just funny, and I love them way too much. I feel like I might need a little bit of help on that front.
Sure. All right, I'll take that.
While I was doing my research, I found out something in the various iterations of Persona 3. In the original copy and Persona 3 FES, pretty much what could happen is that your main character could use every weapon except for guns and knives. But ever since Portable, they have decided to lock him in on one-handed swords, what I would call short swords. And I think that's pretty interesting how it went from like a lot of variety to locking him down into one category, because it actually makes things a lot easier in like a very large way. You no longer have to pick from a large array of weapons. The developers no longer need to make a character with like hundreds of different models for each weapon. They can just do a specific thing.
Everything look good here? Great. It's all yours.
I never felt like. I never felt like.
Everything look good here? Alright then. Everything look good? Alright then. You finished? You finished? Come back soon.
Can't believe the police station's selling weapons. What's more, they only gave us 5,000 yen. Oh crap, it's this late already? I'm gonna miss the rerun of The Lonely Shogun. I gotta go. Wow, well, I'll leave the rest to you. There's a ton of shops and all right.
I have been anticipating your arrival. The time has come for you. My role is to create new personas. By merging multiple persona cards together, they can be reborn into a new form. One could call it a fusion of personas.
There is much hidden potential within your persona abilities. We've never had a guest show this much promise in the past.
Indeed. And by establishing social links, you may be able to create even stronger personas as well. Oh-ho! This shall prove to be most interesting. To that end, as you accumulate cards, please bring them to me.
If you wish to learn more about fusing personas in greater detail, then come talk to me so that I may give you some hints. I will assist you to the best of my ability. Welcome to the Velvet Room.
Alright, so we finally have access to the Velvet Room, and here are some of the things that we can do. We could take personas that are in our inventory, and we can fuse them together to make something new, in which the skills from the previous ones can be inherited over to the new one. We can summon personas out of our compendium, depending on what we've collected, and there's also registration, which basically means that if we were, let's say, we got a persona, right, at like level 1, Orpheus, and we decided, hey, I want to register him, we could put him in, and the next time we summon him, he'll be at level 5 with his current skill set. So I had a suspicion to what the Velvet Room was in this game. The Velvet Room specifically is an elevator that is always ascending. I knew that it was an elevator from the looks of it, I just didn't know which direction it was going. It is an elevator that's always ascending, which can have a lot of different meanings to it. Like, you're trapped in an elevator that's always going up, or whatever direction you see. Typically, going up refers to heaven, or refers to an afterlife in the sky, or something like that, right? But the more literal meaning is that it ties more into the protagonist's journey climbing the Tower of Tartarus, and how him and the seas, they're all climbing up this tower, and it feels like it's taking forever, and much like the elevators, feels like it's endless.
Which will you choose? Which will you choose?
This would be a wise choice.
So I'm fusing my two personas I have here, and I'm going to be fusing them to make Nekomata. Nekomata is an interesting persona, because instead of taking from Greek mythology, like a lot of the other personas we've seen so far, or from Hindu or Buddhist, history or folklore, We instead have a case of Japanese mythology. Incarnations of long-lived cats in Japanese mythology. They have various powers, including human speech and control over the dead. This isn't exactly unique for a Persona game, but compared to the stuff that we've seen so far, it is unique to get something that is a Japanese yokai and have a look at the interesting history and folktales revolving around yokai to an extent.
This is your progress so far. This persona... Oh, it seems you can't afford the fee. Very well. We look forward...
Probably my dumbest purchase in this game so far was this crane game, but I still somehow won the prize, so I feel a lot of pride about that. I always thought that these two malls were really cool looking and really awesome, and I'd love to go to like places like this, because when I was growing up, I was pretty much watching malls actively die, and it's like, you know, I really want to go to a mall that's kind of like this, that's thriving, that has a lot of people, that has good food and stores. Yeah, I want to do stuff like that. I want to go to places like that instead of kind of just sitting around and like watching them slowly fade away. Sorry about that pretty sad note there, but at the same time, it's just kind of my little thoughts and opinions on it that I have. I'm not really a a religious person of any sort, but I've always wanted to see shrines like this, or temples, or just different like religious buildings. I think the architecture looks extremely neat. I think they might be a good source of inspiration, both in like the various religious writings and also like the overall presence of these places. I've always wanted to live in like cities like this that are huge, or like smaller areas that have a ton of cities around it. Basically any place that has access to proper train stations that don't take forever to get from point A to point B. I've always loved the idea of train stations. I've always wanted to like ride on a train, and I've done so like a few times. It's just that I want to ride on them like more often, because I think a train is kind of nice. It's just very relaxing in a way. It's just something personal that I just want to share.
Take your time looking around. Please, come in.
Most of what I'm doing is I'm exploring around and trying to look for Twilight fragments in this footage. The second I learned that you could pick them up off the ground in the real world, I was really interested in trying to get as many as I could before I entered Tartarus again. I'm gonna end off this episode about at this point, mainly because it's most of the footage, and immediately after this it's like more searching, and instead searching at the school, and I'm gonna leave that for next episode instead. I'm sorry for the long wait between episode 4 and episode 3. I had some personal issues I was going through, but luckily those are over now and I can get back to editing and recording and all this stuff back as normal. I'm glad that I can still make these videos for everybody. I'll see you all around in episode 5. See ya.